Hey everyone, welcome back to SwitchTop. Today, we're diving into 20 incredible Nintendo Switch games that deserve a spot in your library. These aren't just good games. These are experiences you'll be thinking about long after you put down your controller. Whether you're into intense action, deep RPGs, or creative gameplay, this list has something for you. Let's jump right in, starting at number 20. Ball X Pit delivers a clever fusion of arcade pinball physics and roguelite structure, creating a gameplay loop that feels both immediate and surprisingly strategic. Each run drops you into a vertical pit where enemies swarm upward, and your main tool is a steady stream of balls that bounce, ricochet, and chain damage based on angles and positioning rather than simple aiming. The satisfaction comes from mastering trajectories, reading enemy formations, and letting smart bounces do the work, giving combat a rhythmic, almost puzzle-like flow. As you progress, defeated foes drop upgrades that allow you to shape your run through new ball types, passive boosts, and special effects, while a fusion system encourages experimentation by combining balls into stronger, more specialized tools. Between runs, resources gathered in the pit are invested into rebuilding and expanding a small settlement, unlocking new options that meaningfully impact future attempts and add a strong sense of long-term progression. The story stays intentionally light, set in the ruins of a fallen city built around the mysterious pit, providing just enough context to justify the constant descent without slowing the pace. Blasphemous 2 is a dark, gothic Metroidvania set in a nightmarish religious world, where you play as the Penitent One, a silent warrior cursed to wear a spiked helmet as penance. The story picks up after the first game, with a prophesied child being born who could either save or doom the world, and you must navigate through twisted cathedral cities and grotesque landscapes to uncover the truth. Combat has been significantly improved from the first game. You now have 3 starting weapons to choose from, each with completely different movesets and combos, plus a parry system that rewards perfect timing with devastating counterattacks. The platforming challenges are brutal but fair, requiring precise jumps and careful observation of enemy patterns. Exploration is non-linear, with interconnected areas that open up as you gain new abilities like double jumps or the power to ring certain bells that alter the environment. The art direction is absolutely stunning, with hand-drawn sprites depicting disturbing religious imagery mixed with Spanish Catholic iconography. Boss battles are intense, multi-phase encounters that test both your combat skills and pattern recognition. Nobody Saves the World puts you in control of nobody. A pale, featureless person who discovers a magic wand that lets them transform into different forms like a rat, knight, zombie, or even a dragon. The story is surprisingly charming. The world's greatest hero has gone missing. Calamity is spreading across the land, and somehow you're the only one who can stop it, despite starting as literally nobody special. The genius of this game is how the form switching system works with quests and progression. Each form has its own skill tree and unique abilities, but you can mix and match abilities between forms once you've leveled them up enough, creating wild combinations like a zombie that shoots arrows or a horse that casts fireballs. Combat is real-time action RPG style, and you'll constantly be switching forms mid-battle to exploit enemy weaknesses or complete specific challenges. The quest system is brilliant. Instead of generic kill 10 enemies tasks, you'll get objectives like hit 20 enemies with poison damage or defeat enemies while in rat form, which naturally encourages you to experiment with different builds. VIII. Lacrimosa of Dana is an action RPG that starts with the passenger ship Lombardia being attacked by a massive sea creature, stranding protagonist Adol Kristin and the other survivors on a mysterious, cursed island. As you explore the island and rescue other castaways, you'll build up a settlement that serves as your base, with each rescued person contributing different services like shops, crafting, or side quests. The combat system is fast and satisfying. You control one party member while AI handles the others, and you can swap between them instantly to exploit enemy weaknesses, since each character has different attack types, like slash, strike, or pierce. The game introduces an interesting dual narrative, where you also play as Dana, a mysterious blue-haired woman from the island's ancient past, and slowly, the connection between Adol's present-day adventure and Dana's story becomes clear, without spoiling the major twists. Exploration encourages you to map out the entire island, finding resources for crafting better equipment and discovering ancient ruins that reveal the island's dark history. The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening is a full remake of the 1993 Game Boy Classic, where Link washes up on the mysterious Koholint Island after a storm, and must collect 8 instruments to wake the Windfish and return home. The story starts simple, but becomes surprisingly emotional as you learn the truth about the island and its inhabitants, dealing with themes of dreams, reality, and the consequences of your actions. This is classic top-down Zelda gameplay perfected. You'll explore dungeons filled with puzzles that require creative use of items like bombs, the hookshot, and the rock's feather for jumping. Combat is straightforward, with sword slashes and a shield, but the challenge comes from figuring out enemy patterns and weak points. The dungeon design is brilliant, with each one built around a specific item you find inside, and the puzzles range from simple block pushing to complex multi-room challenges that require you to remember earlier areas. The overworld is densely packed with secrets, hidden seashells to collect, heart pieces to find, and trading sequences involving the island's quirky inhabitants. Spelunky 2 is a roguelike platformer, where you're an explorer delving into procedurally generated underground caverns, searching for treasure, and ultimately trying to rescue your parents, who disappeared looking for a legendary city. Every death is permanent and sends you back to the start, but the knowledge you gain about enemy behaviors, trap patterns, and secret areas carries forward, making each attempt a learning experience. The movement is incredibly precise. You can run, jump, climb ropes, and whip enemies or objects. And mastering the physics of how your character moves and how objects interact is essential for survival. Each level is filled with deadly traps, aggressive enemies, and environmental hazards, but also shops where you can buy items, altars where you can gain favors from gods, and hidden passages leading to secret areas with powerful rewards. The game has multiple branching paths through different themed areas, each with unique enemies and challenges, and discovering these alternate routes opens up new possibilities for your runs. You can ride certain enemies, throw almost any object as a weapon, and use environmental elements like explosions to your advantage. Metroid Dread finally continues the mainline 2D Metroid storyline, with Samus investigating reports that the dangerous X-parasites might still exist on planet ZDR, only to be ambushed by a mysterious Chozo warrior who strips her of her abilities and leaves her stranded deep underground. The atmosphere is tense and oppressive as you navigate through different biomes, gradually regaining abilities like the Morph Ball, missiles, and various beam weapons that open up previously inaccessible areas. The standout feature is the MME robots, nearly indestructible machines that patrol specific zones, and when they detect you, they relentlessly hunt you down, creating genuinely scary cat-and-mouse sequences where your only options are to run, hide, or pray you can land the extremely difficult counter move that's your only defense. Combat feels amazing, with Samus's expanded melee counter system that rewards perfect timing, letting you stagger enemies and follow up with powerful attacks. Movement is incredibly fluid, thanks to abilities like the new slide and the returning speed booster, and mastering the advanced movement techniques makes you feel like an unstoppable bounty hunter. Streets of Rage 4 brings back the classic beat-em-up series after 26 years, with Mr. X's children taking over the criminal underworld and the original heroes Axel, Blaze, and Adam coming out of retirement to clean up the streets one more time. The story is straightforward, but effectively sets up the action, with comic book-style cutscenes between levels showing the crew taking down the Syndicate's operations across the city. Combat builds on the classic formula, but adds modern depth. You've got standard combos, special moves that drain your health but can be recovered by landing hits without taking damage, and powerful star moves that use a separate meter. Each of the 17 playable characters, including unlockable fighters from previous games, has unique movesets, combo strings, and playstyles, encouraging you to experiment. The juggling system lets you keep enemies airborne with well-timed attacks, and environmental weapons like knives, bottles, and pipes add variety. The hand-drawn art style is absolutely gorgeous, with fluid animations that make every punch and kick feel impactful, and the backgrounds are packed with detail, showing the grimy urban environments. Ninja Gaiden Ragebound delivers a sharp, modern take on classic ninja action by focusing on precision, momentum, and mastery-driven combat within a tightly designed 2D framework. Gameplay revolves around fast, responsive movement, where wall jumps, dodges, and fluid traversal are just as important as landing clean katana strikes, creating a constant flow between platforming and combat. Battles reward intent rather than button mashing, introducing mechanics that empower attacks only when specific conditions are met, pushing players to read enemy patterns, manage positioning, and strike with purpose. Verticality plays a major role, with advanced movement techniques allowing you to rebound off enemies and terrain to maintain speed and control while navigating demanding stage layouts. Combat depth is expanded through the use of ranged tools and special abilities that add tactical options without breaking the game's disciplined rhythm. Alongside the main protagonist is a rival ninja, whose presence unlocks additional powers, reinforcing the idea of adaptability and layered combat strategies. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is a massive JRPG set in the world of Ionios, where two nations, Keves and Agnes, are locked in an endless war, and soldiers from both sides have lifespans of only 10 years, spending their entire existence fighting. You control 6 characters, 3 from each nation, who discover they've been manipulated, and team up to find the truth about their world and break the cycle of violence. The story is emotionally heavy, dealing with mortality, the meaning of life, and finding hope in seemingly hopeless situations, with phenomenal voice acting bringing these characters to life. Combat happens in real time, but with strategic depth, you control one character while AI handles the others, and positioning matters as attacks from the side or rear deal bonus damage. The class system is incredibly flexible, letting you switch between different roles like attacker, defender, and healer, and you can learn skills from each class to mix and match abilities. The interlink system lets pairs of characters fuse into powerful Ouroboros forms, with unique movesets and devastating chain attacks. Hollow Knight Silksong puts you in control of Hornet, the agile princess protector from the first game, as she wakes up in a strange new kingdom called Farloom. You've been captured and taken to this unfamiliar land, and your goal is to ascend through its various regions to reach the top and uncover why you were brought here. The gameplay focuses on fast, precise combat with Hornet's needle and thread abilities, which feel noticeably different from the original Knight's moveset. You're more aggressive and mobile, with tools like the Bind ability that lets you attach to enemies and objects to zip around. As you explore, you'll collect new thread tools that work like spells, unlock movement abilities to access new areas, and encounter dozens of unique bugs in this vertical kingdom. The hand-drawn art style brings every area to life with gorgeous backgrounds and fluid animation. Performance on Switch is smooth, whether you're playing docked or handheld, and the difficulty curve rewards learning enemy patterns rather than just button mashing. Luigi's Mansion 3 takes place in a massive haunted hotel called The Last Resort, where Luigi and friends arrive for what seems like a nice vacation. Things go wrong fast when King Boo reveals it's all a trap, capturing Mario, Peach, and the Toads inside paintings. Luigi has to work his way up through 15 themed floors, each with its own aesthetic and unique boss ghost to capture. The Poltergust G00 vacuum is your main tool, letting you suck up ghosts, slam them against the ground, shoot plungers to rip objects apart, and use a burst move to clear nearby enemies. The big addition here is Gooigi, your green goo clone, who can walk through spikes, bars, and drain grates to reach areas Luigi can't access. You'll constantly switch between both characters to solve environmental puzzles and progress. Each floor feels distinct, from a medieval castle to a movie studio to a dance hall. And the level of detail is incredible. You can vacuum pretty much everything in the environment. The co-op lets a second player control Gooigi throughout the entire campaign, making it a great game to play with someone else. Balatro is a roguelike deck builder built entirely around poker hands, but don't worry if you're not a poker expert, because the game teaches you everything. You're trying to beat increasingly difficult blind challenges by playing poker hands that score enough points before you run out of hands to play. The genius is in how you manipulate your deck and the scoring system. You'll find joker cards that add wild modifiers, like multiplying scores for certain suits, re-triggering card effects, or completely changing how hands are scored. Between rounds, you can buy new cards, remove bad ones from your deck, grab planet cards that permanently upgrade specific poker hands, or pick up tarot cards for one-time, powerful effects. The strategy comes from building synergies between your jokers and the types of hands you want to play. The gameplay loop is incredibly addictive because runs are relatively quick, but packed with meaningful decisions. Visually, it's clean and stylish, with a CRT monitor aesthetic, and everything runs perfectly on Switch. There's also tons of unlockable decks and challenges that completely change how you approach each run. Bayonetta 2 throws you right into the action as the Umbra Witch Bayonetta, who's fighting angels and demons with style and attitude. The story kicks off when Bayonetta's friend Jean sacrifices herself to save her, and Jean's soul gets dragged to Inferno. Bayonetta has to travel to the sacred mountain of Fimbulventer to reach the gates of Inferno and rescue her before time runs out. Combat is all about chaining attacks with punches and kicks, then dodging at the last second to trigger Witch Time, which slows down enemies and lets you unleash devastating combos. You've got 4 weapons equipped at once, 2 in your hands and 2 on your feet, and you can mix and match different combinations for unique movesets. Throughout fights, you'll build up magic to summon massive demons called Infernal Climax attacks that deal huge damage. The game constantly throws crazy set pieces at you, from fighting on top of a jet to battling giant bosses that take up the entire screen. It runs smoothly on Switch and includes the original Bayonetta, making this the definitive package for stylish action combat.
Is that all you've got?
Astral Chain is set in a futuristic megacity called the Ark, humanity's last refuge against interdimensional creatures called chimeras that are corrupting the world. You're a rookie cop in Neuron, a special police task force that uses captured chimeras called legions as weapons. The story follows your character and your twin sibling as you investigate the source of the corruption and uncover a conspiracy that goes way deeper than anyone expected. Combat revolves around controlling both your character and your legion simultaneously. You attack with your X-Baton weapon while positioning your legion to create combo opportunities, and the chain connecting you can be used to bind enemies or solve puzzles. You'll unlock 5 different legion types throughout the game, each with unique abilities. The Sword Legion for offense, the Arrow Legion for ranged attacks, the Arm Legion for defense, the Beast Legion for tracking and mobility, and the Axe Legion for heavy hits. Between combat sections, you'll investigate crime scenes, talk to citizens, complete side missions, and explore the detailed cyberpunk environments. The game looks absolutely stunning on Switch, with its anime-inspired art style and fluid combat animations. Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze starts with the Kong family's island getting frozen over by the invading Snow-Mad army, who literally blow the Kongs off their home with a massive ice dragon. You'll travel through 6 unique islands, each with multiple levels, to eventually make it back home and reclaim DK Island. The platforming is tight and challenging, requiring precise timing and momentum control as you run, jump, roll, and pound your way through elaborately designed stages. You can play as Donkey Kong with a partner riding on your back. Diddy Kong gives you a hover boost, Dixie Kong lets you glide with her ponytail, Cranky Kong has a cane bounce like Scrooge McDuck, and Funky Kong in the Switch version makes things easier with extra health and mobility. Each level introduces new mechanics and obstacles that keep things fresh, from minecarts to underwater sections to rocket barrel sequences. The level design is top tier, with multiple paths, hidden secrets, and collectible puzzle pieces and Kong letters in challenging spots. David Wise's soundtrack is phenomenal, mixing atmospheric environmental sounds with catchy melodies that perfectly match each world's theme. Hades 2 continues the story, but shifts focus to Melinoe, the princess of the underworld and sister to Zagreus from the first game. She's been trained by the witch Hecate to stop the titan Kronos, who has escaped his prison and taken over the underworld, imprisoning Hades and threatening all of existence. Your goal is to fight your way through the underworld and beyond to gather the power needed to defeat Kronos. The roguelike structure returns, where each run has you battling through rooms of enemies, choosing your path, and collecting boons from Olympic gods that modify your abilities. Melinoe's combat feels different from Zagreus. She uses magical staves, ritual daggers, and witchcraft instead of traditional Greek weapons. You've got new mechanics like sprinting and casting spells that use magic energy, plus an expanded resource system for permanent upgrades back at your base. Between runs, you'll deepen relationships with gods and allies, unlock new weapons, plant mystical gardens for resources, and perform rituals that affect future runs. The art style is just as gorgeous as the original, with even more detailed environments, and the voice acting and music continue to be absolutely stellar throughout the experience.
It's slowing down.
NieR Automata takes place thousands of years in the future, where humanity has fled to the moon after machines from another world invaded Earth. You play as androids sent by humans to fight the machines and reclaim the planet. The story follows multiple perspectives, starting with 2B, a combat android, and her support partner 9S, as they carry out missions for the android resistance. Without spoiling anything, the narrative goes to places you absolutely won't expect, dealing with consciousness, purpose, and what it means to exist. Combat is hack-and-slash action, where you chain light and heavy attacks with your weapons, dodge with perfect timing to slow enemies, and have a floating pod that shoots projectiles and can perform special programs. You can equip different weapon combinations and chips that modify your stats and abilities. The game seamlessly shifts between different gameplay perspectives. Sometimes it's a 3D action game. Other times it switches to a 2D side-scroller or even a top-down shooter during certain sequences. You'll explore beautiful post-apocalyptic environments, from ruined cities to desert canyons to forests reclaimed by nature.
To be?
Dead Cells is a roguelike action platformer where you control a sentient blob of cells that possesses the corpse of a warrior in a dungeon. There's no real central story up front. You learn about what happened to this kingdom through scattered lore bits as you explore. Your goal is to fight through procedurally generated levels, defeating enemies and bosses to eventually escape the island. Combat is fast and responsive, with dozens of weapons and skills to find, from swords and whips to ice shards and turrets. You can equip 2 weapons and 2 skills at once, creating different builds each run. As you play, you'll collect cells from enemies that can be spent between levels to unlock new permanent items and upgrades. The progression system is brilliant. You unlock more items that get added to the drop pool, but you also find blueprints for powerful weapons that require cells to make available. Movement is incredibly fluid, with wall climbing, ground pounds, and dodge rolls that keep combat feeling dynamic. The difficulty ramps up through multiple difficulty tiers that unlock after beating the game, adding new enemies and mechanics. The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild opens with Link waking up after a 100-year sleep in a shrine, with no memory of who he is or what happened. He learns that Calamity Ganon attacked Hyrule a century ago, corrupted the ancient guardians and divine beasts meant to protect the kingdom, and nearly destroyed everything. Princess Zelda has been holding Ganon back inside Hyrule Castle all this time, and Link needs to regain his strength to finally defeat Ganon and save both Zelda and Hyrule. The open world design is revolutionary because you can go literally anywhere you can see if you can figure out how to get there. The game lets you do it. You can climb almost any surface as long as you have stamina, glide with your paraglider, and the physics engine creates tons of emergent gameplay opportunities. Combat uses a weapon durability system where everything breaks eventually, forcing you to constantly try new weapons and approaches. You've got 4 core abilities called runes. Magnesis moves metal objects. Stasis freezes things in time. Cryonis creates ice pillars from water, and remote bombs for explosives. Weather affects everything. Rain makes climbing harder, lightning strikes metal equipment, and temperature extremes require proper gear. And that's our top 20 Nintendo Switch games you absolutely can't miss. These games represent some of the best experiences you can have on the console, whether you're looking for action, exploration, challenge, or just pure fun. What games would you add to this list? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and let me know what your favorite Switch game is. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and subscribe to SwitchTop for more Nintendo Switch content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.